everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is October 24th, 2025. And bad news because Barcelona, they have suffered more injury setbacks. Also, Lamine Yamal has fired shots at Real Madrid. And finally, Robert Lewandowski currently surprising his doctors. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. This is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. So start dropping your comments in the chat section. Today, we're starting a little bit late because today I had to go to the office. Worked pretty late, came home pretty late, so starting a little bit late. But nonetheless, I'm here. I'm ready to give you all the news. Now, as always, I have to remind you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kid Bag, or Fanatics. If you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers, courtesy of Barca News. And those offers and deals and discounts you would not get if you went to those websites straight, right, without clicking the link. Now, before we begin with the news, I do have an announcement. And this announcement is in regards to a raffle. Now, I always do raffles on the channel. I always give out 3 Barcelona kits to 3 winners. This time, I want to do it a little bit different. And what's different is I want to do a raffle for channel members only. Now, you might say, Mo, that's not fair. Well, here's the thing. Channel members, you know, the channel is free, right? Anybody can watch the videos for free. Anybody can access this. Channel members pay money every month out of their own pockets to support the channel. So as a thank you to them, I want to do a raffle for channel members only. Now, don't worry. I'm still gonna be doing raffles for everybody, but this time around, I want to do a raffle for channel members only. If you want to become a channel member, you can. You still have time. The raffle is going to be done next Friday. So next Friday, during next Friday's podcast, I will be raffling a Barcelona kit for a lucky channel member winner. Now, the winner, as always, will get to pick which kit they want. Home kit, away kit, third kit, size, what name and number want to be printed on the back. So for channel members, be on the lookout for the post on the community tab. If people who want to become channel members, you can. You have until next Friday to become a channel member and to be entered into the draw. All right, let's begin with the news now that this announcement is out of the way, because tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow is, of course, the long awaited day, which is El Clásico match in La Liga. Real Madrid versus FC Barcelona at the Santiago Bernabéu. And I do have some bad news because Barcelona have suffered some injury setbacks ahead of El Clásico match, starting with Jules Koundé. Jules Koundé has missed not 1 but 2 consecutive trainings because he has suffered a knock. Now, the good news is that Barcelona are confirming that this is just a knock. It's not a serious injury. So, it's more likely than not that Jules Koundé will be available for a Clásico match. It's not 100% sure, but it's more likely than not that Jules Koundé will be available for a Clásico despite missing 2 practice sessions. Because again, they're saying it's just a knock, not an injury. And this, of course, hopefully is true, because of course we are going to need all of our players, or as many players, as healthy as possible. Now, the other bad news, and this one is very, very, very bad news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Raphinha has suffered a setback with his injury and will not be available for El Clásico match. Now, Raphinha had gotten injured. I think it was Real Oviedo, if I remember correctly. It was expected that he would be ready after the FIFA international break, that he was going to have some minutes against Girona, more minutes against Olympiacos, and then he would be able to play the full 90 against Real Madrid. He was doing well. His recovery was going on as scheduled, and then he suffered a setback, ended up missing the Girona match, ended up missing the Olympiacos match, and then once again, it looked like he was ready to recover. In fact, it was expected that he would get his medical clearance tomorrow, Saturday, but unfortunately, Raphinha has suffered yet another setback in his injury. We don't know how much more he's going to be out. There are some reports saying another 2 to 3 weeks. But regardless of how much more he's going to be out, one thing is for sure, Raphinha will not be available for this weekend's match against Real Madrid. And this one, to me, honestly, really, really sucks because, Coutinho has become an incredibly important player for Hansi Flick. And, just his presence alone, I think, is a big, big boost for the team. Even if he's not doing anything, just his presence alone, because he's a player that, just leaves it all on the field. And that, of course, is contagious. When other players see you running your ass off, leaving it all on the field, they want to do the same thing. We saw the big difference that made having Fermin Lopez on the field, right? With no Fermin, no Raphinha, by two of our most high-intensity players, and the team was pretty much looked like they were playing on a dead battery. We put in Fermin, and all of a sudden, the team looked more recharged. And then, having had Raphinha, that would have only made things better. But hopefully, since it is El Clásico match, the players will come out plenty motivated. And hopefully, the absence of Raphinha will not affect us too much. So very, very sad about this news. But of course, Raphinha's health comes first. So to Raphinha, I wish you a speedy recovery. And hopefully you can return sooner rather than later. Now, the last bit of news is also bad news. I know. I'm starting this podcast with bad news, but then I got some good news afterwards. But the last bit of this first segment is in regards to Hansi Flick's appeal. Because as you know, Hansi Flick received 2 yellow cards, which became a red against Girona, which means that he has to face a 1-match suspension, which will be this weekend's match against Real Madrid. Barcelona appealed that red card to the committee. The committee said no. And then Barcelona launched a second appeal to the Royal Spanish Football Federation Appellate Committee. And today they issued their findings, and they said that no, that appeal is also rejected, which of course is something we all expected. When has the Royal Spanish Football Federation ever reversed a red card when it came to any team that wasn't Real Madrid? Because when Vinicius Jr., remember, he punched a player, they actually took his red card away. So, doing this, very, very egregious, punching a player in the face, it's okay. Not the end of the world, all right? So, next time, Hansi Flick, please don't do this. Just punch the ref. Because remember, Valverde also punched Alex Baena after the match. Not even an investigation, nothing. So Flick, please, my man, stop doing dangerous things. You're putting people's lives in danger when you do things like this. Just punch them in the face. That's a much safer behavior. Or at least according to the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Anyways, let's start with the comment section. And then we are going to talk about Robert Lewandowski. Now, by the way, since Flick's suspension has been upheld, it's going to be Marcus Sorg. Like I said in yesterday's video, and like I said during Wednesday's podcast, because I saw a lot of reports going around saying it was Thiago Alcantara. I don't know why it would be Thiago Alcantara. Marcus Sorg is the number 2, right? If the president dies, it's his VP that becomes president, not the Supreme Court Justice. But anyways, all right, let's do the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Robert Lewandowski. And Gideon says, what's up, Mo? What's up, Gideon? Thank you for joining the live, and thank you for your comment. And Java the Hut says, do you like how Lamine Yamal is constantly talking and not always backing it up? For example, against Portugal, because with other players, social media would keep those receipts. I don't really care, honestly. It gets blown out of proportion. Players talk shit all the time, like, oh, we're going to win. Oh. And then sometimes they do end up winning, sometimes they don't. Remember when Raphinha said those statements about Argentina and he ended up losing? It's sports. Its nature is competitiveness. That's what sports are about, competing against each other. And of course, everybody wants to win. Everybody thinks they want to win. They can win, and everybody says that they are going to win. And sometimes you do win, and sometimes you don't win. It's sports. It's part of sports. Why is that shit blown out of proportion these days? I mean, I don't know. People have talked smack since sports were first invented. But, unfortunately, we live in a time where 24-hour news cycle, so you have to talk about something. And if there's nothing to talk about, well, invent something. So, oh, look, he said he's going to win. End of the world. Well, what the fuck do you want him to say? To come out and say, oh, I think we're going to lose? No, I don't care. You shouldn't care either. It's fucking stupid. People these days are fucking stupid. With social media and 24-hour news cycle, people are fucking stupid. They want to make shit up. They want to create drama. They want to create anything. They want to be offended about everything, and they want to dramatize everything. Stop listening to that garbage and just let sports be sports, which is a place where humans compete against each other. And, well, talking shit is part of it, right? When you compete against someone, you're so confident in your abilities, they say, hey, I'm going to beat you. And if you don't beat him, well, you don't beat him. And if you do, great. You get to brag. When did this become like this? Oh, my God. I don't understand. And the reason I'm saying all this, because that's one of the topics today, by the way. But anyways. King says, hey, Mo, as usual, El Clasico is on my birthday. All I want is the same gift from last year. Visca Barça. That's awesome, my friend. Happy birthday in advance. In case I don't, see you during a live or something. My happy birthday in advance. And yes, I hope that you too, I hope you get your gift. And hopefully Barcelona will win on Sunday against Real Madrid. And let me see. Meliora says, Mo, do you think we still can compete without Raphinha? Also, what do you think is the best starting 11 now that Raphinha is out? Yes, I do think we can still compete without him. Not that Raphinha's not important or something. People always, again, like to twist things in the world of social media. Oh, Mo said we can win without him. What he means is that Raphinha sucks and he's the worst player ever. No. Obviously, Raphinha incredibly important. Much better to have him on the field than not. But if we don't, we can still compete. Now, what would be my starting 11? That's a good question. And for that, why not pull up the lineup builder so we can do my favorite game, guess Hansi Flick's lineup. Because, of course, with Hansi Flick, you never, ever know what his lineup will be. All right, let's do the 4, 2, 3, 1. And, of course, here, Szczesny. I don't think I have to tell you this, right? Duh. Here, since Barcelona are assuring that it's just a knock and not an injury, I expect that it will be Jules Koundé as a right back. Left back, clearly it's going to be Balde. I don't think we have to guess. And here, our center back pairing. I'm going to go with Pau Cubarsí and Eddie Garcia because that seems to be Hansi Flick's chosen center back pairing as of now. Obviously, that could change. We've seen a lot of variations there, but I think this could be it. But who knows? Maybe Hansi Flick will opt for someone more physical like Araujo or Christensen, but I'm going to go with Cubarsí and Eddie Garcia. Now, down here, we do have, well, actually, Pedri plays here. Let's see, put him here. Pedri here on the left. Now, Frankie de Jong missed training because he's ill. Looks like he was making out with Andreas Christensen, and Christensen gave him the same illness. But they are saying he should be available. Now, yesterday they said the next 48 hours will be crucial, meaning there's 24 hours left. So tomorrow we'll know for sure whether Frankie has fully recovered from his illness. But this is what I expect if Frankie recovers on time. If not, I expect that Flick will probably put Marc Casado in place of Frankie if Frankie does not recover from his illness. On the right, we have Lamine Yamal, who's now fully healthy to start and play the fully 90 minutes after he played some minutes against Girona, more against Olympiacos. On the left, actually, let's do the attacking midfield because this is pretty easy. I think it's going to be Fermin Lopez. In our center forward, I think it's going to be Rashford. And that leaves the big question on who can play on the left. Now, Ferran Torres is back. So we could see Ferran Torres start. We know that Hansi Flick likes to use Ferran Torres on the wing. So it could be Ferran Torres, or we could be seeing Rashford going back to the left with Ferran in the number 9 position, since Ferran is better as a center forward than he is on the wings. Now, of course, Rashford is much stronger as a center forward than Ferran is, but Ferran on the wings is pretty much useless. So at least in a center forward, he might not be as good as Rashford, but at least there's use to him, right? Where Rashford can be useful on both the wing and as a center forward. Or since Ferran just came back from injury, we could be seeing maybe somewhere down the line, maybe we could see Rooney Bardarji coming in, right? Maybe like Ferran starts, but then he comes off, and then Rashford moves to the 9, and Rooney Bardarji starts on the left. I think that's a possibility. But of course, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you think will be the starting 11 for this Sunday? And with that, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about good news. Since we started with bad news, we do have to talk or move on to good news. And the good news is in regards to Robert Lewandowski, because as you know, Robert Lewandowski suffered a thigh injury during the FIFA international break while he was with Poland. He was ruled out for approximately 5 weeks. They're saying it could be 46, but approximately 5 weeks. It's a thigh injury. In those injuries, that's usually how long they take. Of course, Barcelona did not specify how long Lewy's going to be out. They never do. But you can always estimate based on, the kind of injury, right? We know, medically speaking, the different types of injuries, how long they take to heal. And the forecast is 5 weeks for Robert Lewandowski. Well, the good news is that Lewandowski is actually right now recovering at a much faster rate than initially expected. And as such, he is surprising his doctors at Barcelona, who are pretty surprised at the rate that Lewandowski is currently healing. Which, now that I think about it, it makes actually sense, because Lewandowski, doesn't get injured that often, even all throughout his career, because he's a person who really, really takes care of himself. And B, I can't remember, they did a test on him, and he had a metabolic age of something like 32, I think, if I remember correctly. So his body's actually much younger than what he is, and that's because he takes care of himself really well. His wife is a nutritionist, and he really, really watches what he eats, when he eats it, how much he eats of it, his hydration, his sleep, and his exercise, stretching, you name it. His wife helps him a lot with that, and this is why he is freaking 37 years old and still competing at the highest level. I mean, Penaldo at 37, he was already in Saudi. Messi at 37 in the MLS. Lewandowski still going, right? And that's because he takes care of himself really, really well. So this is why probably he's healing much faster than expected. So even though the initial forecast was 46 weeks, he could be coming back before that. Now, of course, he's not going to come back for Sunday, so don't expect Lewandowski to be part of the squad. But obviously, the sooner the better, because we need our goal scorer. Now, this was actually confirmed by Wojciech Szczesny, who was, of course, Lewandowski's very, very close friend, because Szczesny was kind of giving an interview. And Szczesny, the way he is, at this point of his career, at this point of his life, he just doesn't give a shit. He just says whatever he wants to say. And he said that during the interview, he revealed that Lewandowski's injury is actually not as serious as initially thought, and that Lewandowski was recovering much faster than initially anticipated. He said, I don't know when he'll be back, but I heard the initial forecast was 45 weeks, but I think it's going to be less, because Lewy is actually doing much better than where he's supposed to be if he was, I guess, a different player. So, good news in that respect. Lewandowski could be coming back sooner rather than later, and definitely sooner than initially expected. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Lamine Yamal's statements, because apparently they've caused a lot of problems, because these days everything is a problem, right? And if there isn't a problem, well, you make up a problem. You cannot make up a problem, invent a problem. But there has to be a problem. There have to be likes. There have to be comments. You have to generate controversy. Otherwise, how are you going to get clicks? Without clicks, there's no advertisers. Without advertisers, there's no money. So if there isn't a problem, create one. Mandak Samai says, it has been a long time watching your videos. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you watching my videos. Al Manaf says, I am from Kerala, India. First time watching from start. Well, thank you, my friend, for watching from the start. Actually, I had never heard of Kerala. Let me see. Where's Kerala in India? Let me see. I'm just curious. Oh, okay. So you are in the southwest of the peninsula. That's pretty cool. I learned something new today. And you are right on the ocean. Well, the state is on the ocean. I don't know if you live on the ocean, but that's pretty cool. By the way, today I ate Nepalese food. And the reason I mention Nepalese food is because I remember in one of my classes in college, we learned that, the Himalayas are in Nepal. No, sorry. It was Nepalese food. Anyways, I remember in a class I learned that the Himalayas were formed because India used to be by Antarctica. You know how the plates are always moving. And India used to be all the way in the south next to Antarctica. It broke off, it moved north, and then crashed into Asia. And when India crashed into Asia, the Himalayas were formed. And I think that's pretty cool. But anyways, completely has nothing to do with what we were talking about. But anyways, Diamond says, hi Mo, is there anything I can send you money for you to get my Barcelona New Jersey to my address, please? I'm in Providence, Rhode Island. What do you mean? About send you? I mean, you can order on the Barcelona website. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but if you could clarify, then please let me know. Aiki Chuku Okori says, good morning, Mo. I'm watching from Kuwait. Please, when will our keeper be fit? Juan Garcia should be probably coming back early November, right? Because they said it was like 4 to 5 weeks. 4 or 5? Yeah. Based on the surgery that he had. I think it's been 2 or 3. So, end of October, beginning of November. That's when he should be back. And Etuheo says the guy hit Vinny's fist with his face. Yeah, it was an assault on Vinny. Abdu says, hi Mo, how are you doing? I'm Abdu from Gambia. I watch you. Well, thank you, my friend, for watching, and thank you for joining. And let's do one more comment, and then we'll get back to the news. But Islam is the only way, says Lamine should continue doing his things. Let him talk. No player will ever say we'll lose at what he said about Madrid is a big truth. Madrid fans don't like it, but why would a Madridista interview? Again, talking smack is part of sports. Every athlete, I mean, have you ever watched UFC fights? That's part of sport. Sport is about competing against others. And you have to, as an athlete, to be able to compete against others, you have to be confident in your skills and ability to compete and beat others. Because if you don't have confidence in yourself that you're going to beat someone, then just don't even compete. Just give up. Because if you don't even believe in yourself, nobody else will. And that's what sports are. Sports are about competing against each other, having the confidence that you can compete against someone. And, part of it, just talking shit. Because if you believe you're going to beat someone, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to beat you, because you truly believe that you're going to beat it. Now, whether you end up doing it or not, that's a whole other story. But if you truly don't believe that you can beat someone, then why are you even bothering? Just go home. Don't even try. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then most likely you're not going to win. Because a huge, huge part of sports is mental attitude. And if you don't have the mental attitude to compete because you're like, oh, I'm going to lose, don't fucking compete. Stay at home. Sports is not your thing. Anyways, let's get back to the news. Speaking of Lamine Yamal's comments, because ladies and gentlemen, we have another manufactured scandal on our hands. Because unfortunately, as I said before, we live in a 24-hour news cycle We live in the age of social media where likes and tweets and retweets mean money. So if there's no drama, there's no clicks. If there's no clicks, there's no advertisers. If there's no advertisers, there's no money. So, in other words, if there's no drama, well, make up drama, invent drama, because drama sells. Drama makes money. And this is exactly what has happened with the following news story, because Lamine Yamal has found himself in trouble. Put that in quotation because it's not really trouble, again. And what happened is that Lamine Yamal was on this show. It's part of the Kings League. If you don't know what the Kings League is, it's a football league. It's not a professional football league. I think it's semi-pro, or I don't even fucking know. Where it's football teams, but they're owned by YouTubers and influencers. Like big ones, for example, Ibai Llanos, he has his own teams. Ibai has millions of subscribers. Gerard Piqué is the founder of the Kings League. Gerard Piqué has his own Kings League team, if I'm not mistaken. And Lamine Yamal is now part of the Kings League as well. And they had this show where, they had all these people, media personalities who own teams, like Ibai Llanos, like even Gerard, what's his name from Gigantes? Anyways. And they were all there, and they're talking shit, and they're, cracking jokes, and blah, blah, blah. And Ibai Llanos is asking Lamine, is like, are you going to score against Madrid? And Lamine's like, I've already done that. And Ibai is like, oh, well, you have to score at the Bernabeu. He's like, did you forget about last season? He's like, how much was the score again? 0-4. So they're talking shit back and forth because Ibai Llanos is Madridista. And then Lamine says, jokingly, that Madrid, they rob and that they always complain. Okay? And of course, this breaking news, right? Everybody and their mother like, oh, Lamine Yamal said that Madrid rob and that Madrid complain, that disrespect, blah, blah, blah. Who does he think he is? Blah, blah, blah. It has been so blown out of proportion that now that there's talks that Carvajal will sit Lamine Yamal down after tomorrow's match and talk to him about how those comments are stupid and they don't reflect well on Lamine, and that he shouldn't do that because it can affect the unity of the Spanish national team. So Lamine Yamal's comments are so egregious that Spain's unity is at stake. Spain might lose the World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, because Lamine Yamal's statements. Yes, this is grave. There are children starving in the world, but fuck those children. This is more important. Lamine Yamal is breaking the unity of the Spanish team. This has to be talked about. It's so serious. Has to be talked about. Carvajal, bro, just stick to sucking. That's what you're good at. Being a bad player. Please. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're not Lamine's father. You're not his coach. Sit down and knock some sense. Who the fuck do you think you are? Again, stick to being a shitty player. That's what you're good at. Leave these things to someone else. Now, we could argue whether Lamine Yamal should have said that or not. I don't think it's a big deal. He's amongst friends. He's talking shit to a Madridista. Madridista's talking shit back to him. They're going back and forth. How is this a big deal? Again, like I've said a million times already today, it's sports. Sports is about competing against each other. Sports is about having the confidence in yourself that you have the ability and the capability of beating someone else. And if you have that confidence in you, it's naturally going to tell someone else who you're competing against, hey, I'm going to beat you. Now, whether you end up beating them or not, that's a whole nother story. But that's always been part of sports. Talking smack has always been part of sports. And now all of a sudden, because it's Lamine Yamal, it's the end of the world, right? When just yesterday, Courtois said that referees don't favor Real Madrid. In fact, it's the opposite. They hurt Real Madrid. In other words, that referees are against Madrid, that they rob Madrid. But nobody batted an eye. Carvajal was not like, I'm going to talk to Courtois. He's ruining everything. The day before that, Courtois said that Laporta criticizes refs because he has to do it because of the Negreira case. In other words, saying that Barcelona bought referees through Negreira. Nobody batted an eye then. Carvajal, where were you, bro? Talk to your teammate. He's ruining the unity, right? Real Madrid TV for 3 fucking years have been posting video every single weekend. Talk about how they get robbed at the hands of referees. In other words, saying that referees are corrupt. Nobody bats an eye. Carvajal, my bro, talk to your producers, man. They're ruining the unity of the sport. But no, because it's Lamine Yamal. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Who does that guy think he is? What has this society come to? A group of crybabies that want to find reason to be offended just so they can get likes, just so they can get comments. That's where we at today. It's a pathetic, pathetic society that complains about everything, that finds problems in everything. Why? Because being offended sells. But I'm sorry, I'm not buying it, and neither should you. Anyways, let's get back to the comment section, and then we will talk about Iniesta. Andres Iniesta, one of the greatest midfielders ever. Barca Soldier says this league is corrupt, and that's putting it lightly. They say Barcelona are favored. It's not complaints or excuses. Just feels like everyone against the club to the point players fail at times. I don't think La Liga is corrupt. I think La Liga is full of incompetent people. I think La Liga is full of very biased people. Do I think it's corrupt? No. Corrupt means that that the winner is the guy who pays the most, right? Whoever pays out the most that season is the player who wins. And let's not forget, Barcelona have won La Liga 28 times. So if you believe that La Liga is corrupt, that means that those 28 La Liga titles that Barcelona won was also corrupt. And that Barcelona did not win them fair and square. Because you don't get to say it's corrupt when it only is convenient for you. It's either always corrupt, which means all the trophies that Madrid won are corrupt and all the trophies that Barcelona won are corrupt, or it's never corrupt. You cannot pick and choose, okay? It's like Penaldo fanboys. Oh, Penaldo wins, everything's awesome. He loses, it's corrupt, right? He wins the Ballon d'Or, it's because he's the best. He loses the Ballon d'Or, it's because it's rigged, right? It doesn't work like that. It's either always corrupt or it never is corrupt. So please, people, when you say things like that, think of the implications of what you're saying. Because if it's corrupt, that means all the titles that Barcelona won are also corrupt. Think of the implications of what you're saying. Spooky says, Mo, is it true that Carvajal will talk about... so we just talked about that. And Islam is the only way. It says when they started Negreira case accusing Barca for bribery and arrest, they didn't see it disrespectful. But when Lamine said the truth about them, yes, they see it as disrespect. I swear the whole Madrid is a joke. I agree, my friend. And Valeriano says when Madrid talks shit is okay. When Yamal says it's a problem, 100%. And Zach Urban says, hey, Mo, do you think this El Clasico will either break or make our season? No, absolutely not. I think it can help. You know, if we win El Clasico, will be a good boost for the players, but would it make or break? No. I mean, this is only, 10th fixture? We still have another 28 matches. So, no, it's not going to make or break our season. I mean, we could lose El Clasico and still win La Liga. There's plenty of matches left. Edward says, hi, Mo, do you think that the lousy passing in the Olympiacos game was a result of Flick wanting the ball pass into space rather than to feet to try to beat the shadow blocking? And I don't know if that is the case because it's not the first time that Flick has, demanded from his players to pass to space. I mean, that's part of Flick's attacking philosophy, is to pass balls into the space, something that Raphinha, was able to take advantage of, and that's why we saw a much better Raphinha than we did the first 2 seasons. But no, I think the team was just not sharp, and they need to work on it. But I don't think because it's not nothing new. It's not, first time you guys have to pass to the space. I've never heard of that. I don't think that was the case. Let's see. Koroma says, me and my wife are still waiting for you. Thank God you are here. Thanks, bro. No, thank you, my friend. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all of you watching as well. And let's see. Mo, Kerala is best for its culture and food, and we have great fans of football. Hope you visit in your vacation, and hope Yamal smash Real Madrid players and win it 3-1. Lewa and Raphinha is a miss. Well, thank you, my friend. I love Indian food, by the way. I really do. I order Indian food almost weekly, on a weekly basis. I was supposed to go to India this November because my really good friends were getting married, but then they decided that this is not really a good time, so they've postponed the wedding. So I won't be going to India this November, which is a shame because I was very excited. I love Indian food, and I couldn't wait to go there and eat it there. And plus, visit India and experience India and all that good stuff that comes along. Not just the food, but everything else as well. Leo Ford says, if Lamine doesn't play out of his mind in the Clásico, I'd be disappointed because he talking and not being able to back it up is nonsense. I don't think it's about talking and not being able to back it up or not. I mean, if you say, hey, I'm going to win, and you end up winning, that's not backing it up. As long as you gave it your best shot, the fact is that you lose. Now, if you want to be someone who's too scared to say, I'm going to win because you don't want to look bad afterwards, it means you don't have confidence in yourself. And again, if you don't go into any match, not just a football match, tennis, basketball, UFC fight, if you don't go in there with the mentality and the belief, true belief, not just saying it, true belief that you can beat your opponent, you have no business competing. Period. Any sport, you have no business competing. And if you're already thinking, oh, I don't want to say that I'm going to win because I think I'm going to lose, so I don't want to look bad if I do end up losing, you have no business competing because you already have a doubt in your mind that you can win. You have to be 200% confident that you're going to beat that person. So you have no problem saying, hey, I'm going to beat you because you believe it. You truly believe it. And if you don't end up winning, that's fine. It happens. But if you go in there not truly believing that you can win, stay the fuck home. I say it as someone who has competed his whole life. I've played football. I've competed. I've swam competitively. I've fought in the cages competitively. I say it as someone who's competed his whole life. If you truly don't believe that you can win, if you have the smallest doubt, stay the fuck home. All right, let's do the last bit of news. We do have to talk about Andres Iniesta because he had something to say about this whole Lamine Yamal situation. And this is what one of the greatest midfielders, and I say one of because, of course, Xabi being the other one of the greatest midfielders in the history of the sport, said it's a comment to add a little spice to that Clásico. Beyond the comments or not, it will be a spectacular match. We'll see what happens. A lot of importance is always given to what is said, especially if it's before a match like this. I'm not very up to date with the news either. Some people will say it's to warm up the match, and others won't like it. But what really matters is what happens in those 90 minutes. The Clásico goes beyond any comment from any player, president, or director. For me, El Clásico is the biggest match there is. So there you go. Iniesta saying, dude, I don't give a shit what he said. What matters is what happens on the field. So if the legend, Andres Iniesta himself, says he doesn't give a shit about what Lamine or others say, you shouldn't either. Okay, what matters is what happens on that field. Simple as that. So stop buying into all these drama creators and problem inventors on social media who are just looking for likes and comments and just want people to argue about this because it generates likes and clicks for them, because it doesn't fucking matter. It's what happens on the field. That's what matters. Now, not Lamine Yamal. Andres Iniesta was asked about Pedri, and all the hype around Pedri. Rightfully so, because to me, he is the best midfielder right now currently in Europe. And this is what Andres Iniesta had to say. Pedri is Pedri. In our time, well, there are always comparisons. Pedri's making his way with the talent he has, with the weight he already has at Barca and in the national team. For me, he's the most differential player in what I understand as a footballer. what a footballer represents. I just want him to continue on this upward trajectory, which will undoubtedly be very good for Barca. I've never hidden the fact that at some point, this is separate from Pedri. I added this a little bit because it was pretty exciting. But Iniesta said about returning to Barcelona, said, I've never hidden the fact that at some point in my life, I would like to return to Barca. And that, my friends, is pretty cool, right? Because Iniesta, of course, confirming again that, of course, he wants to come back to Barca. Now, obviously not as a player, he's retired. But my question to you is, what do you think? Where would you like to see Iniesta at Barca? As a coach, part of the board, whether it be president or any other position, scouter, coaching the academy. I don't know, but I think I always like when Barcelona legends are still linked to the club in one capacity or the other. So hopefully we'll see Mr. Andres Iniesta one day back at the club. Now, as far as Pedri, of course, Iniesta saying that he is the most differential player, and I 1,000,000% agree. I've always said Lamine Yamal is our most talented player, but our most important player is Pedri. He is the heart and soul of the team. So again, if you don't want to listen to me, some random guy on YouTube, well, listen to one of the greatest midfielders in the history of the sport, Mr. Andres Iniesta. All right, let's get back to the comment section. Faye says, who the hell you think he is to sit down and talk to Yamal like his son? The hell? I agree. Oh, Nathan, I'm so sorry, my friend. I did not see your donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. But Nathan says, hi, Mo. Any updates on Bartomeu court case? No updates. It's a court case. So it's going to take years. So I'm sure there will be updates as the case unravels. But, don't expect a resolution anytime soon. I mean, the Neymar case is still ongoing from when Barcelona signed them back in 2014. So don't expect a resolution anytime soon. Katana Glory says, Real Madrid applies the Arabic proverb. He hit me and cried, then he got ahead of me and complained. I had never heard of that proverb. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. That was pretty cool. And Joker, who just became a member. Thank you, my friend, for becoming a member. And now, as a member of the channel, you'll have access to the Discord server. You'll have access to the weekly MoCast every Saturdays, where you, the viewer, get to choose the topics. And you will have access now to the raffle, because I will be raffling a kit for members only. Don't worry, I'm still going to do the regular raffles for everybody. But for this week, I'm going to be doing one for channel members only. And if you want to be entered in that raffle, well, you're welcome to become a member. Let me see. Katana says, Lamine making a big mistake by playing with Spain. I don't think so. I mean, why would it be a mistake? Right now, it's the best squad. It's what he identifies with. Sure, his dad might be Moroccan and his mom might be from Guinea. Guinea, right? Is that where she's from? I think so. If not, please let me know. But he was born and raised his whole life in Spain, so he's a Spaniard and he wants to represent his country. Why would he be making a mistake? Not to mention, again, it's their best team. I think Spain are the favorites to win the World Cup. Will they win the World Cup? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But to me, they are the favorites. So no, I don't think it's a mistake whatsoever. Valeriano says, Ibayano's team lost against Yamal team today, so as part of the bet, he has to watch with the Barcelona jersey. Oh, I did not know that. I don't watch the Kings League. I don't know anything about the Kings League. I know they're all teams owned by like YouTubers and media personalities. And I know it's not the same rules as regular football. It's like they have weird rules and like crazy stuff that PK invented, but I've never honestly watched a match. It's not something that interests me. But thank you for sharing that fact, my friend. Chollier says, December, I'm going to go to Kerala on tour to see the city. Hopefully your city is great. God bless you. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. And Almanaf says, as a coach in Barcelona from youth to senior player. That would be cool. Let's see. Islam is the only way. It says, I want to see Iniesta as a coach for the first team in the future. He knows our philosophy. Maybe. Remember, Xabi, another incredibly one of the greatest midfielders ever, not just in Barca history, in football history. And, he also knew our philosophy. I mean, he went through the academy. He played his whole career at Barca, and yeah, sure, he ended in Qatar, but I don't really consider that. But he spent his whole career at Barcelona as a player and in the academy, and that did not work out. So, but it would be cool to see Iniesta maybe try to coach one of the youth teams, and who knows, maybe he does have what it takes to be, the next big coach. But it would be cool to see Iniesta back at the club. Let me see. Sholia says his tiki-taka chemistry will play a huge role for the team, whether it's the academy or first team. And Valeriano says, do visit Goa when you visit India. I've heard that. You're not the first person who tells me that. A lot of people have told me that. Goa, yeah. So definitely on the list. I think the wedding is getting moved to next year. So hopefully next year I'll be making it to India. And Islam is the only way. It says his mom is from the Congo, from the DRC. I don't think so. I think from Bissau. Is that how you say it? Let me see. I think that's where the mom is from. Let me double check. Let's solve this mystery once and for all. Lamine Yamal Nasrawi Ibana was born. Can't believe he was born in 2007. I was graduating high school in 2007. Talk about Equatorial Guinea. Okay. So, yeah, the dad is obviously from Morocco. And the mom was born in Equatorial Guinea. I knew it was one of the Guineas, but I wasn't sure which one. But no, yeah, not from the Congo. Valeriano says, will there be live watch-along for a Classico? Of course. There will be a watch-along. And this time, hopefully I'll have the whole sound figured out where I'm going to have the background noise, the commentators, the noise from the match in the background. So I think that will be a little bit more spicy. Dorian says, Lamine is bringing back intense rivalry in El Clasico. Love it. I like the way you see it, my friend. And Valeriano says, I'm from Goa, India, live in California. All right. Yeah, I've heard that before, Goa, that it's a must. And Armando Gomez says, did Carvajal not see the rivalry between Barca and Madrid when Pep and Mourinho were coaching? I'm pretty sure Spain won the World Cup in 2010. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's probably the most toxic rivalry there ever was between Mourinho and Pep. I mean, the players used to beat each other up on the field. Remember all the red cards? And Mourinho used to come out and say, yeah, Barcelona robbed, and Ronaldo, Penaldo used to say that robbery, and nobody batted an eye. And Lamine says it jokingly amongst friends while talking shit to someone else. It's, oh, the end of the world. That's it. Spain's going to lose the World Cup. Like, Jesus, when did we become so fucking sensitive? My God, anyways, like I said, there's no drama, invent it. The R9 Gaming says, what's up, Mo? Although Yamal ain't wrong, I'm worried about him getting cracked on Sunday, and also from legal issues standpoint, I do praise him or sane, and I wish him had the courage too. I mean, he's gonna get cracked regardless, unfortunately. The better you are, the more you get cracked, because players get frustrated when they can't get the ball from you. So they hit you, plus the more you dribble, the more you're likely to get hit. I don't think it's going to be because of the statements. He's going to get cracked regardless. But legal issues, there's no legal issues. I mean, they're talking shit. I don't think there's any legal issues there. But anyways, that is all. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment. If you want to be entered in the raffle, the Barcelona kit raffle, you can become a member. You can become a member by hitting the join button on the home page of the channel. I will be posting another video in a little bit, so stay tuned to the channel. I will see you guys in that video, and as always, Visca Barça.